What's good, people? It is Hump Day Wednesday. If you see in my face, that mean I'm back. And I am your host with the most, Mr. What He Go Do Next, Rain, rock star, funky fresh in the flesh. And I am somebody you need to know. My guest today, um, man, where do I start? Producer, songwriter, singer, artist, legend. I mean, this brother has shaped and made music for artists that you've heard of and heard their music, but didn't know he was behind the scenes pushing the buttons. He is a founding member and as well as a former member of the most dangerous group in the world, N.W.A. And man, he had a hellified career himself. He's done 3D animation. He's done video games. He's produced all type of electro rock. I want to say um kind of breakdance rock as well as hip hop and rock and combine them together and made that's why we just call it music. It's not no certain genre. But without further ado, I'm about to bring in the Arabian Prince.
Yes, sir. What's
Welcome to the
good
show,
with
my
you?
brother.
What's good with
Oh
you,
man,
Rain Rock?
man,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
good, bro. I appreciate you stopping by. Man, you got a hellified history.
I
I
appreciate
mean,
it. Before we even get started, man, I gotta say I appreciate the fact that you wearing that Tales of Kid Funkadelic shirt. Cause I know what that shirt is. A lot of your listeners or watchers may not know what you're wearing, but I
yeah.
know Tales of Kid Funkadelic. Mommy, what's a Funkadelic? Every word, every beat, every
Mhm.
nuance of that album. Matter of fact, I'll give you one better. On the way home from my meeting, I was bumping all of that kind of stuff. Mommy, what's
Yeah.
a Funkadelic? That's what I wrote to every single day of my life. So there you go.
Undisco Kid, yeah, man. I love
Oh yeah,
music, man.
yes, sir.
Music is it's like it soothes the savage beast. Like when I listen to music, I can close my eyes and see the sounds moving. I can hear the notes. I don't just listen, I hear it, I understand it. And not a lot of people can do that. And they look at me like, what you thinking about? I'm like thinking about this song further than where it is or further than what you're thinking about.
Yes, sir.
Um, man, born and raised in Compton, California.
Yes, sir.
What was your upbringing like? Like let's take a journey on you as a kid. What was it like in Compton?
Man, so where I grew up in like the crazy part of Compton, right? I used to live on this cul-de-sac with my grandmother and grandfather, my mom's and all this. And the cul-de-sac was right next to this park. And that park was like the craziest park around. And one of the famous Compton high schools was down the street, Centennial High School, where I believe, yeah, where where he grew up, Kendrick Lamar and Top Dog and all of them. And my
Mhm.
cousin-in-law, TT, who's Kendrick Lamar and Top Dog's bodyguard, they all grew up in the projects down the street. I mean, I'm older than them, but that's where they were. So that little area over there. And I'm an only child. My mom's was very, very overprotective of me because you knew where I lived at, bad things could happen, shit could go wrong. And also because her brother, my uncle who I idolized, Wayne, we called him Hoggy. He was probably the dude in the hood doing most of the damage. I mean, like crazy fool. Like every day something was, either it was with the police, other people, because he wasn't really in a gang. Because this was like, we're talking like the 70s, right? Where there was no gangs per se like that. Like he was down with the Black Panthers back then.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
there's a crazy story that when he was at school, the leader of the Crips, when they just started, the Crips came to school to recruit, and my uncle beat him up. And then the leader of the Crips came back later and apologized to him, was trying to get him to like be down with it. But my uncle was into some other shit at the time. But because of that craziness in my family, between my moms, my pops, and my crazy uncles and cousins, they kept me out of that. They knew I was talented. even as a young kid, and they wanted me to do other stuff. I was really good at sports, played a lot of football, and really, really was deep into the writing and music thing. And my mother was a classical pianist, and my father wrote over 100 books, and was also the editor of a lot of magazines, newspapers, and even the Black adult magazine Players. So that was his magazine as well.
Yeah.
So I had a
Okay.
lot of creativity around me.
How did you And I'm asking this question because again, I'm on the outside looking in. Um, how did you duck and dodge? I'm gonna say, or stay away from the gang activity and everything. Because if I'm correct, and correct me if I'm wrong, at that time, wasn't it really kind of getting really just started and starting to amp up?
Yeah, yeah, it was. And like I said, my uncles, they was called the James boys, and my cousins, Collins, they was the terror in the hood. So I remember one day, man, I had rules where I couldn't go off the block, right? Because I'm young, I couldn't go. I'm supposed to stay on the cul-de-sac. The park, I could go to the cul-de-sac part of the park. But if you went deep in the park, that's where all the shit was going down. And kid, you don't listen to nobody. You be all over. There was this liquor store we always used to go to, and I would go to the liquor store. Man, I got caught over there once by my uncle, and I never forget. Man, they took my face and put my face in the gutter, like muddy, muddy gutter, like just face down in it. Like, you see that? Like, that's what they're gonna do to you, and you
Oh
ain't gonna
wow.
get up. Like, you're gonna be face down in the gutter for life. So, like, you need to be scared of us more than you scared of anybody else. And I was scared of my uncles and cousins. So it was like I never really wanted to get into it. And I was like off limits to the gangs because they knew my family. And he part of the James boys, leave him alone. So I got a ghetto pass early on and was able to kind of like move without that pressure. And I
Okay.
started making records when I was 16 too. So getting into the music scene like really, really early, everybody kind of respected that.
Okay. Um, when did when was the air Bobby Jimmy and the Critters and Uncle Jim's Army? When did that kick in?
Yeah, so like I said, I made my first record when I was 16, right? So I was in elementary school, but I was DJing. I started DJing when I was like 14, 15 years old, doing my little elementary school dances and kind of moving, doing that with a couple people, skating rinks and stuff. And I used to go to Uncle Jam Army dances when I was like 15. Me and my boy Buckwheat, who was actually in Bobby Jimmy and the Critters for a minute because he went to school with me. And
Okay.
when General Jeff left, we brought my boy Buckwheat in. He had a car because we was in the same grade, but he was a half year older than me. So 16, boom, he had a raggedy ass car. We had to put water in that shit every time we roll out. Had to keep about 4 gallons of water in the back seat if we wanted to go anywhere. But we would go to Uncle Jam Army dances, and I would tell my moms I was spending the night over his house because she didn't want me going nowhere like that anyway. But we would go, and that's when I got to see what Uncle Jam was doing, and we had other crews like Z Cars, LSD, the Wrecking Crew, which was Dre. This was probably even before Dre because this was early, like when I was still like 15. It was just probably Lonzo, Unknown DJ, because they were the Wrecking Crew even before Dre and Yella got involved with them. But we would go to these parties and dances, and that's how I became a DJ and started hanging out with Uncle Jam's Army, Egypt, like when he first got involved. And then I kind of became like a a side part of Uncle Jam. I was never in the main group, but because I was
Okay.
really, really young. But then I came up with him and started DJing with him and doing stuff with him, especially toward the tail end when we started to get into making records.
Okay. Um, did you ever have any situations or like battles with Wrecking Crew? Because if I'm correct, didn't like Uncle Jam's Army kind of and Wrecking Crew kind of had that I'm gonna say competition beef. If that makes sense.
Yeah, all of us, man. It was like, the thing back in the day was when you had a concert, you was passing out flyers or you were putting up the big posters. You see those big posters. They still do it now. And if you had a concert or a party and another crew was having a party, you would just wait till they put their posters up. You go take their posters down, or you would staple your posters on top of their posters. So that was going on, man, for like a couple of years. And like I said, it was just a battle of who had the best crowds and everything. Uncle Jam's Army ended up being superior because, man, they would roll into the convention center or the sports arena with like 100 speakers. You know what I'm saying? 100 serving Vegas, and you couldn't beat that sound. You know,
Right.
the Wrecking Crew had Compton on lock in a sense because they had a club, Eve After Dark, and Jeffy's, where Lonzo used to work and run. So they had Compton on lock, and then Skateland, USA, and Compton was more Wrecking Crew. And I started, and like I said, I was kind of associated with everybody. So I got to move around, did Uncle Jam Army stuff, but then there was stuff at the skate rink. I got to go DJ at the skate rink. So I kind of, hung out and knew everybody.
Okay. So when did or let me rephrase how I want to put this. When did you meet Easy, Dre, Yella, and Cube and Ren? When did you all meet them?
Yeah. So let me backtrack and give you like a lead up to that. So, we're all DJs doing our thing, right? Uncle Jam's Army, Wrecking Crew, Z Cars, LSD, all of them. I'm hanging out with Egypt at the time at his house, and they had just bought an 808 drum machine, right? Now you're talking like 83, maybe even 82, right? They got an 808 drum machine. We weren't even thinking about musical instruments. We was DJs, but they got it. And I would be in the garage with Egypt at his house, and he'd be playing with it, learn how to do beats, Planet Rock type beats, stuff like that, Kraftwerk type beats. And they would play it at the club, and people would dance to it. And I remember Egypt saying one day, man, we about to go in the studio and make a record. I'm like, what? Like, that's a big deal. Like, now, if you say somebody gonna make a record, it's like, everybody making records. But you're talking 1983, making a record? Like, what? Oh, shit. And then I'm at the skating rink with Dre and Yella and Lonzo, and they were like, man, we about to make a record. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Everybody making records. Shit. I want to make a record, right? So they both in the studio making records. I had a club, my own little teen club in the hood called Lennox, which was next to Hawthorne, between Inglewood and Hawthorne. It was called Lennox. And I had this thing called a cave. I'm 15 years old, man. I got my own club, teen club on the weekends, and doing that. And I told the owner, I used to work at a pet store that was next to the club, and the dude who owned the pet store owned the club. That's how I worked at the club, because I was slanging 50-pound bags of chicken feed and shit like that in the hood. So I told him, I'm like, man, everybody making records. He's like, what? I said, yeah, man, I got like $500. I don't know if that's enough for me to go in the studio and make something, but I want to make a record. So he gave me another $500. He said, look, I'll give you another $5. You got $1,000. Go find you a studio and just see what you can do. And sure enough, I went in the studio, bam, made a record. Had never been in a recording studio before. I knew what I wanted. I liked, at that time, and I was dressing like Prince and shit, because the girls like Prince. So I was doing the whole Prince thing. And so I'm like, I want something that sound like Prince, Parliament Funkadelic, and Kraftwerk. But, never being in the studio, I just had to make something up. So I made up that song Strange Life, and it actually hit the radio. So that changed the whole narrative. I'm getting to the easy thing. It changed the narrative of how us as DJs were. So when we'd all kind of made records around the same time, next thing I know, we're doing shows. We're not doing DJ sets no more. We're like touring, doing like concerts, like traveling around. I'm like, damn, this is cool. I'm still in high school. And that's when I started hanging out with Dre more tough, Dre and Yella and all of them, because we were always on the same shows. Okay. And me and Dre used to kick it tough. And one day, after us making a whole bunch of records for different people, and me doing stuff with Bobby, Jimmy, and the Critters, and the Wrecking Crew, and I'm producing a lot of people, right, at a young age, he was telling me, he's like, man, I ain't really making the money that I thought I was going to be making doing this record stuff. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I'm like, I'm making money on my stuff, but I ain't really making money off the Bobby Jimmy stuff. A little bit here and there. We getting cash. We young. And he said, man, I bumped into this dude at the swap meet named Eazy-E. And I always tell the joke, like, he was the neighborhood pharmaceutical technician at the time. doing his little thing in the hood, and he had money. So Dre was like, this dude said he'll put up some money so we can go in the studio and do something. So I met with him with Dre. We sat down, talked to him, and we started kind of figuring stuff out, messing around. And Cube lived down the street from Dre's aunt, right? Cube had gone away to college to be an architect or something like that. So when he came back in the summer, we was in the studio messing around with stuff. And Cube, yeah, I don't want to go back to school. Fuck that. I'm gonna write. So he started writing stuff. Ren lived down the street from Easy. Bam, that's the other connection. Yella was Dre's boy in the record crew. Bam, he came in, and next thing you know, we got N.W.A. Man, it was just something that just came together. And I think one of the early reasons why it worked, it was kind of an all-star group because everybody except for Easy had records out. Cube had done something with, I think they were called CIA, him and Sir Jinx, the Wrecking Crew, me, so we all had, I don't think Ren had anything out at the time, but people knew who we were. So us coming together to put out a record, especially a different type of sound, a hood record in Compton, kind of helped propel that a little bit.
Okay. So when y'all got in the studio, was it one of them situations? Because people who've never been in the studio, they don't know creativity can come from sitting there joking, or it can come from somebody else's song. But either way, the clock is ticking. It costs money, and back then that was a lot of money to be in a studio.
Yeah.
What was y'all in there just hanging out, bullshitting, and then it started coming up, or the actual HBO situation happened, and then that's how Easy jumped in the booth, forced on that beat in so many words.
Well, the beat that he was forced on. So early on, like right before N.W.A. kind of really solidified, we were going over to Lonzo's little home studio. We had like a little 12 track or something like that, like an Akai 12 track or something like that we was messing with, just to kind of mess around with stuff. And that Boys in the Hood was written for some dudes that was from the East Coast. And, when they read it, they was like, what's a 40? Like, what's lowriders? We don't know what this is, like, we can't do this. So that's how I was like, man, Easy should do this. Cause he had this voice, man, this crazy voice, he had never rapped before. So they talked Easy into doing it. And we just kind of messed around, got it done. And then we started going into the studio to do some backup records, and we really still hadn't gotten serious about it. It was like, let's just put something out and see if it blow. And it, Boys in the Hood just blew up,
Okay. I gotta ask this. Did he really take 70 plus takes to record it?
I don't know if it was that many, but it was, I would say this, man, because he wasn't a rapper and had never, like, we all have been doing it for a while. It was like pieced together, literally punched together, so it was like, woke up quick, still see them, click, like that wasn't right. So we would just woke up quick, bam, punch him in, get it. We would get it, punch, check the flow, and you got to remember, this is before digital. So if it wasn't right, you was cutting tape. And don't get me wrong, we've cut tape before. Just as like
2-inch.
Yeah, just like we need that half inch off of there to get that rhythm right. There you go. So, but we got it. And then later he got better at it. When like nobody's disrespecting him because he wasn't a rapper. But he got better and understood after a while. But the first few was, it was like pulling teeth to get it done. And then he was, street kid, man. He was all over the place to get him to focus, to get him into the studio. Where Easy at? Damn, man, come on, man. He's out of the streets. But yeah, man, we got it done.
When y'all did so did y'all release Boys in the Hood first, or did y'all do N.W.A. and Posse first?
So remember N.W.A. and the Posse. So N.W.A. and the Posse, let's talk about that. Just because not that many people talk about this. We did an EP. The EP was called N.W.A.
Okay.
Right. And I believe It's on my wall up there too. Um, Boys in the Hood and Dope Man was on there. I think we had it was like 4 or 5. It was like Dunk the Funk, Fat Girl on My Jock. You know, it was like 4 or 5 records on this EP. The EP was called N.W.A. That's the cover with all of us in the alley with all our homies, right?
Okay.
When we left, and I don't even say left, we had our own label on a manufacturing distribution company called McCullough Records, right? All they did was press records, right? And they would distribute them for you. So they weren't really a record label. They just were a manufacturer. You give them money, they'd press your stuff up, they'd ship it for you. When we got bigger and went and got the deal at Priority Records, Don McMillan, who owned McCullough Records, took those songs, added some other songs from like the Fila Fresh crew, that's where DOC came from, and some
Okay.
other stuff, and made an album called N.W.A. and the Posse. That's why it was called a posse, because it was just random songs that we didn't even know this thing was coming out. So when people see the N.W.A. and the Posse album, I call it a bootleg. Matter of fact, when people bring it to me, most of the time I won't sign it. I just tell them the story and be like, dude, this is a bootleg. This ain't the real record. We ended up getting paid for it because we got it back from him trying to rip us off,
Okay.
with it. But yeah, that wasn't a real album. That was just something that somebody else put together.
Cause like once I actually got into N.W.A, I run into that album, and we, being up in the Midwest, we thought, I'm like, man, it's like 20 people in this group.
Yeah,
But when you listen
yeah,
to it, you hear these same 5 voices, maybe 4 voices. And I'm
right.
like, they got the little Spanish dude, they did it. And
Yeah,
we like, where they from? And my uncle, he used to do roadie for Renee and Angela and Lakeside. So
yeah.
he was like, oh man, they in California. He broke everything down from the way I was dressing and everything, the curls and stuff. Cause I'm like, they look different to us, but that album, I mean, it still was a cool album, but no, I never knew it was a bootleg. I thought it was just one of your introductions to the beginning of the journey.
Nah, everything after those 4 or 5 we had on that EP was all put on there by the dude from McCullough Records. We had nothing to do with that. We was
Okay.
already working on Straight Outta Compton at that time. And tell your uncle if he's still alive, man. I was bumping that Renee and Angela on way home today too. Yes, sir.
And he passed about some years ago,
Uh,
man. But he
yeah,
did all that, bro.
right.
What I about to say? You helped write or produce a song that till this day, some say songs, but this particular song I'm gonna talk about first. You put it on. If you know, you know. If you got a good system, it's gonna make it sound better. If your system is horrible, it's gonna make it sound good, and that is Supersonic.
Oh yeah.
Let's
Yes, sir.
talk about JJ Fad.
Yeah, yeah. So that's an interesting one, man, because JJ Fad were some girls that we knew. We met. I think we met them at a party or club or something like that, and just started hanging out with them, me and Dre. And they would just hang out with us sometime. We do shows or whatever, and they kept saying they wanted to make a record. And eventually, they were hanging out with me in the studio one day
Okay.
when I was working on. I think I was working on Professor X because I'm also known as Professor X, right?
Huh?
And I was working on some like German electro shit. That's Professor X is like deep electro funk, right? And I had some studio time left over, and they was in there messing around, I think on the microphone and stuff. So let's make a record. I said, whatever, I got some time left over. So we did 2 songs. We did Another Hope Bites the Dust and Supersonic. We did Another Hope Bites the Dust first. They dissed all the Roxannes on that song, right? I had in the studio at the time only 3 things. I think I had a SP1200 or SP12. I can't remember which one I had. I had 808 and my Yamaha DX7. That was it. That's all I had in the studio. And I take that back. Maybe I had an emulator too at the time, that big ass keyboard, because I knew I was sampling something. So they were like, let's make some records. So we did Another Whole Bites the Dust, were them dissing all the Roxanne's on the East Coast. And I'm thinking to myself, not being rude at the time, because they're brand new rappers. I'm like, y'all trying to diss Roxanne's? Them girls can like go,
Right. Y'all
right?
gonna get it up.
There you go. So I was like, man, let me just, we got a little more time left. Let me just drop a up tempo beat for y'all, because I think that might be something better for you guys. You know, some party cut. And we did Supersonic like really, really quick, dude. And my friends at the time were the LA Dream Team. And I remember being at the drive-in movies, hanging out, watching the movie. And at the intermission, the LA Dream Team, it was either Rockberry or Dream Team in the House or, you know, one of them songs. I was like, they played their music video at the movie theater. I was like, I had never seen a rap video at the movie theater. I was like, damn, these fools is large. And I thought about it. I'm like, ooh, I should put JJ Fad on Dream Team Records. Because we was just starting N.W.A. at the time. We really didn't have a label. Ruthless was just kind of bubbling up. You know, we weren't really doing it like that. So I put it on Dream Team Records, and it blew up, dude. And it wasn't Another Hoe. Another Hoe was the A side. Supersonic was the B side. Yeah. If you get the original one on Dream Team Records, Supersonic is the B side. And all the radio and the DJs and the clubs turned it over, started bumping Supersonic. So we took it back and made Supersonic a single. And then rocked, it blew up on Dream Team. And then when the royalties were supposed to come in, rest in peace to my homie Rudy Pardee, but he a little greedy, wasn't trying to pay nobody. So I'm like, oh, okay, I see how this gonna go. You know, this is blowing up, you making all this money, and I ain't seeing no paper off this. So I took the record back, talked to Jerry Heller, who was our manager at the time, which, you know about that story, you know, later on, and said, let's put this on Ruthless. So we took it back, put it on Ruthless. It was 5 girls initially. They was having some infighting, got rid of 3 girls, added 1, Michelle, and now you have the 2 original, Juana, and then he had the Michelle, and they became the new JJ Fad, replayed the song, and went in there with my same equipment, replayed the song, and put it out on Ruthless. And then it blew up a second time, and then we did the album.
See, man, and what's funny about that is, again, there was no social media, so it wasn't easy to connect the dots. We didn't think, okay, N.W.A, Eazy-E, JJ Fad. We didn't think none of that was under the same roof. Now, we knew when Above the Law came out, because back then you would read the back of the album or the inner sleeve. I'm like, okay, they had Ruthless, Kid Frost, Ruthless. Never thought they was there. And as I got older, I learned, I said, wow. But I learned everybody's story. You got that beginning group that helped but got lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
After y'all did JJ Fad, was it did Straight Outta Compton come, or did Easy Does It come?
It was almost around the same time. Both of those albums were being worked on at the same time, right? And I can't remember which one came first. I believe, man, you had to look it up. It's been so long, but it was almost like months apart. And I'm not sure if it was Straight Outta Compton first and then Easy Does It, or vice versa. But it was almost, simultaneous. And I left the group probably 2-3 months into Straight Outta Compton album being out, when we just start touring, because that's when I figured out, because Supersonic was blowing up. The money from Supersonic coming in was paying for Straight Outta Compton and everything else to be made on Ruthless.
Yeah.
That making so much money, it was going back in. But the money wasn't reaching my pocket, because that was my record with the girls. And I kept talking to the manager, Jerry Heller, like, hey, man, what's going on? I need to get paid. Like, this is my song. I did this. I brought this shit over here, and never got anything. So I got me an attorney and just took care of my business. And, that was only one part of it. The other part, which a lot of people don't talk about, is when we would go on tour as N.W.A, when you do a concert, the promoter will send a deposit before you leave. Like, you don't even leave the house. You don't get on a plane unless you get half the money, right? That's your security. In case something go down there, they ain't got your bread. At least you got some of the money. So we would do all these shows and get the deposit money, But no, I take it back. The deposits would come in, right? We would go do the shows. We would get the money at the show because a lot of times they would pay you cash. So we get that money. When we would come back in town to get the other half of the money, Jerry Heller would always have some excuse why you wasn't going to get the other half of your money. Oh, well, we doing this, we doing that. And I was like, man, all the shit that's going down with us getting chased by police and harassed, gang, it was rough on the road for N.W.A. We was considered like the target. So for me, it was like between that and not getting paid from JJ Fad properly, I had to get me an attorney and go get my shit straight. And I got all my stuff straight. I got paid and I bounced. And I told everybody in the group what was going to happen, what was happening. And Q was the first one to listen to me. Like I remember going to one of the shows after I left. I'm still cool with everybody. It was just like, I'm out. And I had a brand new Porsche. And Jerry had just got everybody like Suzuki Samurai Jeeps. And Q was like, where'd you get that from? I'm like, well, you need to talk to Jerry. Like I got paid. And then that's when he did his thing and then he bounced. And then later on, Dre figured it out. Then he bounced. And, it was sad, man, because it's always an outside entity that breaks up an amazing group. You know what I mean? Happened with that. It's happened with so many groups. But yeah, man.
So when y'all was on tour, far as buying clothes or food, was the company just coming out of pocket, or was y'all paying for your own clothing?
We was coming out of pocket, man. Man, early on, I tell people like, some people be trying to like paint the rosy picture of being on the road. Shit. Man, we had bought a 15 passenger van, and I remember early on, dude. We bought a microwave to take on tour with us. Like we would drive to the show. We had a microwave, man. We would stop at the grocery store. We had like frozen burritos and, frozen dinners. And, remember Swanson with the peel top off? That's what we was eating. That's what we was eating on the road, man, until we started making money. Because, in the early 80s, nobody was really paying you like that until it got big, until you started getting the bigger shows.
So what was the average? So 2-part question.
Yeah.
How many people actually went on tour, and how much was at that time, I'm gonna say Ruthless charging for N.W.A. and Easy to perform?
Yeah, it was 6. It was actually 7 of us. It was me, Ren, Dre, Yella, Easy, Q, and the super dope Brody, DJ Speed. And so that was it early on. And then later on, had a couple bodyguards or something like that. But early, it was just us, man. And I think we was making probably like, it was nothing, dude, like 2,500, maybe 5 G's a show. And you had to split that 5-6 ways. You know what I mean? So, but some of the venues were smaller. When we got to the bigger venues, 5,000, 10,000 people, then you make a little more money. But but you got to think about that: 2,500 to 5 G's in 1985. That's good money. Now it's a joke, but now back then that was it was decent money for a rap group.
Give me one of your best memorable moments in the studio. One of those moments where either y'all was laughing or y'all was talking that you just can't forget, and it signified the brotherhood at that particular moment. Like, yeah, this is it. We're going straight up.
The funny thing, man, and I wish I could find. I got a VHS tape somewhere.
Oh,
Easy
wow.
was crazy. Easy would have like a camcorder, one of them VHS camcorders, and he would always be filming the craziest stuff. And one of the skits on the Dope Man skit, I think. What you need, man? Oh, I need something. You remember this 8 ball or whatever, right? Man, this shit like some gold on the road from a Compton swap meet, right? That scene, we would do scenes and interact that kind of shit in the studio when we was bored. So there's a lot of footage, and I wish it would come out of just like crazy shit being recorded in the studio when we was bored, And I think that was some funny shit. And then fools, when we were rolling around in the van, people would be fighting in the van for fun. Like you get bored and start like socking everybody in the van. Easy was crazy like that. So yeah, man.
Man, first time I got introduced to you guys, a partner of mine had a Maxwell tape. He like, man, just listen to this, man. You ain't gonna just go blow your mind. And I love hip hop, and I'm listening. I'm like, okay, this is different.
Yeah.
What is this? It's called N.W.A. And I'm just listening day after day, learning the words. And that's when I seen the album cover. But when I finally seen the We Want Easy video, and it got the Bootsy beat. So I heard it. I'm like, man, that's Bootsy. I said, man, dude look like a kid. Like he looked like one of us. And they like he is. He only 15. Man was not 15. He was not 15.
He was older than all of us. He was older than all of us by a couple years. Yeah.
But I was like, wow. Odd question. The whole time y'all recording everything, was Big Suge around?
No, not that early. No.
Okay.
Suge came around toward the end of when I was there. So this is around the middle of Straight Outta Compton, somewhere around in there. And then he was like, you know, one of the bodyguards per se, you know, but not early. Laylaw was, I don't know if you know who Laylaw is. He was one of the homies. He was around kind of like pseudo bodyguard at the time, but he was another drug dealer, one of Eazy's boys. And Crazy D was around. That's the Mexican on the front of the album cover that nobody knew who he was. The Yo, Mr. Dope Man. Yo, Mr. Dope Man, you think you're slick, you know, that's Crazy D. But yeah, Suge didn't come around until like mid Straight Outta Compton tour. Yeah.
Okay. So when you decided, and you said you departed and it wasn't no problem. That's very rare because usually when somebody leave a group, it's like the group don't want to deal with them. It's beef. It's a problem. It's like you just left and it was like, okay, bro, gone.
Yeah, because like I said, it was because of the manager at the time. And, you know, like I said, a deal had to be done to keep Supersonic there because Supersonic was making so much money. And I had to come back and do more records on Supersonic. And then on the next album, on JJ Fast's next album, I had to come back and do, you know, some production. But it was, you know, when you know what you're dealing with, a crooked, corrupt manager, it's cool. Like, I know what I'm going back into now. Okay. Here's my deal. Pay me. As opposed to just, you know, not doing anything or staying away. So I was still cool with everybody.
Okay. For the watchers and listeners, I'm about to hit out on something y'all don't know. Throughout history, when it comes to music, sometimes history it'll be one album but two different versions. So what I'm about to say here, it's a song called Something to Dance To. If you got that Straight Outta Compton album with Something to Dance To, you have a gem. Because the one floating around after a certain amount of time and now, that song's not on there. If you have that song by this man right here, Arabian Prince, keep that. That is a collector's item because that is out of print and it's like it doesn't exist.
Yeah, and the reason is there's two reasons we did those songs. So the reason we did Panic Zone and Something to Dance To, those two dance records, is, you know, me and Dre and Yella, we all come from dance music, from electro funk, right? Pop locking music, break dance music. And we knew when we did the gangster rap, it was going to be hard to play on the radio. So we had to put something out on the radio to let people know we was here. Because at the time, we weren't trying to do clean versions of our songs. You know what I mean? We wanted them to be what they were. So you did Panic Zone, Something to Dance To, Radio, Eazy-E's Radio, Express Yourself. Those songs were the clean records that would hit the radio. And then if the record company radio station wanted to do an edit and play the hardcore stuff, they could. But that was like the introductions to like, oh, we got something. Go check out the rest of the album. Yeah. And the only reason that they might have pulled it is because I had to sue Eazy's wife because she didn't want to pay me, you know, because I'm the only one that got a contract, like rock solid contract with Ruthless for all my stuff. So, you know, hey, as long as my checks don't bounce, I'm good.
So once you left, did you come around or kind of like you kept a distance as they went their way and you started doing your thing, or was y'all still interacting within each other like a friendship?
Yeah, I would still hang out with them, you know, here and there. not much in the studio because I was doing my next album. And then at the time that's when I started getting into video games and animation, as a
Okay.
side hustle. And I found out that my side hustle was actually paying me more money than the music. Like the first thing I did, because I was really good at computers and I taught myself how to do animation and visual effects for fun, just for fun. And I
Okay.
was at a convention and somebody rolled up on me at one of these graphics conventions called SIGGRAPH and was like watching me on a computer. And it's like, man, you're good at that. Like, you want to work on a project? And I'm like, work? Oh, nah, what you talking about? And he's like, we got this thing, man, coming out called Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And I work for this
Mm.
company called Saban. Would you want to work on it? I'm like, well, let's go check it out. And I ended up working on Power Rangers, Silver Surfer, Adam's Family, Casper,
Okay.
uh, the movie Contact, Independence Day. I even worked on the Titanic movie. I worked on a lot of films doing visual effects. And the checks I was getting from that, I was like, oh my God. You mean I've been rapping all this time and all I had to do was do some animation or make some stuff blow up? I'm like, I'm in. So then from there, I moved into the video game side of things and was making more money doing that. So I never stopped doing music. I just ramped up the other side of entertainment because on the film TV side, they make sure they pay you, because they want to put that stuff out. So yeah,
Let's talk about the song Professor X.
yes, sir.
Um, I remember listening to it, and I remember hearing the voice of Professor Xavier, excuse me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. Then I seen an interview one day when you told how you got it, and it was funny because I do remember that episode. And that
Hmm.
episode was exactly how you said it. It showed up one day, disappeared for a while, popped back up, and then I was sitting in front of the TV. You hit the record and play, and just okay, and
Yeah.
catch it.
Yeah.
That was a good play on that one. That was yeah, you timed that perfect on that. I don't know how you did that, but you timed that perfect to get that voice.
Dude, I told you, man, I heard it, because like I said, I already had a record out, Arabian Prince record out at right at that moment. And I was like just messing around. I had an emulator too. I never forget to have the big ass emulator 2 keyboard. And you got to remember to sample something from television in the 80s is damn near impossible. So I remember how I did it. I had that. There was a little, how old are you? You want to tell? All right. Well, I'm old, right? So I had to go to Radio Shack for anybody out there who old enough to know what Radio Shack is. And they
Wow.
had this little box that you would connect to the back of the antenna of the TV set that you can connect
Mhm.
to your video game, right? So that you could play your video game into the TV. So I found one that had an in and an out, right? Because I didn't have a VCR at the time. So I was
Okay.
able to just sample it into the emulator, but I had to be quick because the emulator at the time only had 7 seconds of sampling time on the whole keyboard. So I think it was like
Mhm.
1.2 seconds per sample. So I had to like record Professor X. You know what I mean? And I got lucky and I got that sucker and just
One
built
hit,
the
one hit
whole
recorder.
huh?
One hit recorder.
Yeah, one hitter quitter. Because if I didn't, I would have to wait till the next week because it only came on Saturday morning cartoon. Yeah,
Mhm. I remember
yes,
that
sir.
episode. Um, as the '90s progressed, and you were doing 3D animation, video games, and expanding, what else were you involved in at that time?
Man, I was, believe it or not, I was playing golf, dude. I'm a semi-pro golfer now. Been that for a long
Okay.
time. So that's how I did a lot of my business deals, dude. Like some of my animation stuff, dude. I met the vice president of Samsung worldwide on a golf course. And we became buddies and I made tons of money off of him just playing golf, just met the dude, start chatting. But animation, video games, I got into investing real heavy. I was into the blockchain and Bitcoin early. Like the
Mm.
first Bitcoin was 2000, late 2009. We were messing around trying to figure out how to put Bitcoins into video games in like 2009, 2010.
Okay.
and I ended up having like a bunch of Bitcoins on a Bitcoin wallet at the time on a hard drive. And years later, I forgot I had them, but I don't throw anything away. So I still had them suckers. So I've been in the blockchain space since then, which is a blessing.
Okay.
And man, it's been doing that. And, I built technology centers for kids in schools and,
Okay.
e-sport arenas, all that, man. I just been like, just getting it in.
That's beautiful, man. Congratulations, definitely on the success and everything. Because a lot of people feel like if they just doing music, that's what they got to stick to. Especially at that time, if you did anything else with music, that you was a sellout or you was cartoonish or something like that. So,
Yeah.
man, you definitely you went out there and got the bag for real.
Hey, you got to, man. And the good thing is it was before social media. So,
Mhm.
no one knew. I was just doing my thing, man. I was like, I remember it was the craziest thing. The first time I went to Saban or Fox, I think it was Fox when I started working with Fox Interactive. I'm supposed to be like just a regular old animator or video game creator guy. I pull up in a brand new accurate NSX, and the fools was like, who the hell is this dude? Right? Like, why you got like $100,000 car? But there was no internet at the time. So none of
Mhm.
them people knew who I was unless you was in the rap. You didn't know who I was. And I was trying to keep that separate. So I never told anybody, unless they really got to know me and figured out who I was. I was just in there like just another dude working at a video game company or animation company.
Yeah, because like being back then, if you didn't read a Right On, a Fresh, or
Yeah.
watch a Source or Double XL, or watch a rap show, you didn't know. Because we, like I
Yeah.
said, if you looked at the album, we knew it was maybe six, 7 of y'all on the album, but we knew certain people's voices. And then when we see the video, we like, hey man, where the light skinned dude go? And of
Yeah.
course, people make up their 2 cents. Oh, they kicked him out. He wasn't gangster.
Yeah.
And we looking like, how you know? But it wasn't no
Yeah.
internet to go check, so we rolled with the rumors and the BS. Like,
Right.
okay, they kicked him out. Um, these next 3 questions are gonna be interesting. It's more than that, but when you first heard No Vaseline, what was your reaction?
I knew it was coming. You know what I mean? Because I was kind of privy to the beef between
Ah,
them. I was still cool with everybody, but I knew it was coming. And when I heard it, I was like, oh, he went in like deep on him like that. I was just like, only thing I could think of is thank God he left me out of it. Hey, I was like, cheers, thank God he let me out of it. Then, N.W.A came back, but they didn't get back that
right.
hard. But yeah, man, that was a interesting eye opener.
And what about when you heard Dre Day?
Yeah, yeah, same thing with that. It's kind of like same thing, like, damn, there go another one, and then the one, even Snoop said it though. The banger that I really, really liked, man, was Compton City G's.
Oh yeah.
Snoop even said it. Snoop, you see the piece that Snoop said about, if you haven't seen what Snoop said, it was funny as hell. Snoop was like, man, when he, like, I liked Easy E, but man, when he dissed me on that shit, I was like, damn. He said I was still banging that shit, but it was like, yeah,
What people don't realize about battle rapping is fiction and facts is 2 different things. So when
right,
Easy put that picture up, this is Dre. It wasn't a lie. If you knew, you knew. And then
yeah,
once the fans saw it, they went looking. They look at the album cover like, oh, but they got to remember in the '80s, some
that's what it was.
dude kind of you know.
Hey, man, you know what? I'm gonna say this, dude. If you grew up in the '80s, I don't care how much of a gangster you was, you either look like Michael Jackson, Prince, Ready for the World, The Time, or I knew some gangsters, dude, from Compton. Them fools was mods. They was wearing like trench coats with the checkered buttons and the checkered vans with the like with the suspenders. You know what I mean?
Wow,
Or you was a pop
wow.
locker. You had white gloves, almost look like a clown and shit. Everybody. That's what I say about the '80s. The '80s, everybody was exploring looks because
Mhm.
people who don't know, and I say this, as a DJ, top 40 in the 80s was probably the most versatile time in the world, because if you look at the 60s, the 50s, 60s, 70s, it was R&B, rock, and funk and soul, right? That was it.
Right.
There was nothing else outside of that. The 80s is when you got into like so many fragmented pieces of different type of genres. So you had, instead of rock, it was like heavy metal, new wave, punk rock. There was like 5 or 6 versions of that. And then you had pop, but pop was all like Depeche Mode, Oingo Boingo, Devo,
Yeah, yeah.
Blondie,
Adam
Prince,
Ant.
Michael Jackson. It was so many different sounds. And then rap, even rap was so all over the place. You had the East Coast rap. And I always say this, and this is a funny thing I always say, the difference between, and there was gangster rap in electro and dance music too. People forget, because the early East Coast, like Sugar Hill Gang and Grandmaster
Mhm.
Flash and African Bambaataa, man, they was talking about like streets, but it was up tempo.
Right.
Unemployment on the record high. People, that was street, but it was just dance party street. Same thing
Right.
on the West Coast, party street. So, it's just what it was, man. So if you clown at people on how they looked in the, you know what people looking like now? Oh my, it's like
It's,
full circle, right?
you
Full
know what?
circle.
It is. I never thought of it that way, but it is. But it's not in a glam way, if that makes sense.
Mm-mm. They just making up shit now. I seen some shit the other day, dude. Like, you ever see the thing where they show the basketball players walking in, walking into the stadium, and we like, woo, like they look like rock stars, like rock stars.
Yeah.
Like a buddy of mine, and I'm not dissing him because he's like real rock star, rock hall of fame. A friend of mine is Verdine White from Earth, Wind and Fire, the bass player, right?
I know you're talking about.
Me and my boy Kel Keys, we go to lunch with him one day. He's gonna hang out with Verdine. This fool show up, got on sweatpants, cowboy boots, a ruffle shirt.
The hell? Wow.
And I'm like, damn, he can do that. You're not looking at him like a clown. You're like, that's a rock star. Because if you look at like Aerosmith or these rockers, they be wearing stuff like that. And now the rappers are doing the same thing. Like they're just like fur coat, Adidas sweatpants, and some dress shoes, and I don't know.
All over the place.
Yeah.
You said something about top 40. I actually have an opportunity coming up where I'm going to have I got a radio show coming out. It's only an hour every Monday at 9. And that's part of what I want to do. I want to, of course, converse and talk, but I want to do top 40. And I say top 40 because I don't want to have a certain brand on it. I want to be able to, if I want to play Run DMC, if I want to go behind them and play Wham, if I want to go play Prince or Rick James, then I want to play N.W.A. I want to play you, or I want to play King T. I want to be able to play whatever I choose or whatever. Because at one point on the radio, that's how it was. It was just music.
Yeah, 1,000, just music.
What was your opinion, or how was you feeling when you found out how Dre was getting treated over at Death Row? Like the whole truth about everything.
Yeah, man. I've always been this firm believer of family, right? Like when we were in N.W.A, it was a family. Like, like shit happened later. And like I said, it takes one thing to break up an amazing family. And it was the manager who broke everybody up, Up until then, there was no beefs in N.W.A. Never, not one, ever. You know what I mean? Until money came into the picture and, people wasn't believing this or believing that, so that was sad. But when I remember I had a meeting, not a meeting, but, Dre, the homie, Yella, the homie, they came by my spot and I had like a studio in my house. And we was talking about what's next, because Dre had just left, and he was telling me that he had this situation over at the Solar building that Suge had hooked up. They got a studio. He can go do shit. They're about to start this new shit. My boy Unknown DJ was over there messing with him at Death Row. This is early, before it even really was Death Row.
Mm-hmm.
And I went over there to the studio to check it out and walked in. Dre was in there doing something. And I'm looking around, and it wasn't family no more. You know what I mean? I'm like, who these fools over here drinking, smoking, playing with guns and shit? Who them fools over there drinking, smoking, playing with guns and shit? I'm like, this shit don't look like a healthy environment to make music. And I saw that like straight off, you know, and I'm like, I don't see creativity, in my opinion, for me. I'm too busy trying to watch my back in this motherfucker. And I told Dre, I was like, hey, if this is what you want to do, cool. But I made a recommendation. I was like, man, you Dre, literally, you could take and do an album and put it in a brown paper bag with a Sharpie on it and sell those.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really need another entity. You are an entity now. We could, and I was like, I wasn't trying to pull him away. I said, we could do this shit ourselves if you want, but he wanted to go that route. So then, and I ain't mad at it. He blew up shit, fucking legendary shit came out of there. But like I said, I felt that, that spider sense tingling shit. You know what I mean? Like I told you, my uncles and cousins was them dudes. I grew up seeing that. So as soon as I walked in, it was like, ah! Oh yeah, I know what the fuck going on in here. You know what I mean? I'm like,
right.
I'm good, homie. I'm good, homie. And that, it's what it was.
Okay. Fast forward, Straight Outta Compton coming out.
Mm-hmm.
When you actually went to the theater, two-part question.
Yeah.
What was your take on it, and how did you feel being not in it or not involved, kind of like erased in so many words?
Yeah, I knew it was going to happen because remember I told you I had some legal troubles with Easy's wife, right? So I knew that I wasn't going to be in there. Matter of fact, somebody had sent me from the set my character, the dude who played me. And there's scenes in the movie where I'm in there, my character is in there because it was filmed. A lot of stuff was filmed here and there, but he never said nothing. He just like somebody, oh, there you are. I'm like, oh, the dude by the wallpaper in the corner, like just
right.
But like I said, if you know, you know. And for me, as long, like I always say, man, as long as the check's cash, I'm good. I'm good. I ain't never been the fame guy. And a lot of people say, man, how come we didn't know? Because I don't really care about the fame of it. And I think a lot of it has to do with, people call humble. I ain't gonna lie, I'm not really humble like that. I'm just me, right? But I grew up on Prince. Prince was mysterious and shit. You know what I mean? So I've always been that dude who I want to create and let the art do its thing. I've never been that, oh, look at me, look what I did, whatever. I want to get the money, watch something, do something, and then move on to the next thing. I'm a builder. I like to build. I'm a studio rat. I like to do those things and just let it go. I don't have to be in the limelight to create. And that's how I've always been. So when I had an opportunity to kind of not really erase myself, but to just kind of sink back into the background, I loved it because it was anybody who's been, I always say, at the top. There's a whole lot of stuff that goes along with it. There's so many people, like I used to teach a music business class at Point Blank Music Academy, and all the students would always ask me, or I would ask them a question. Who in here wants to be famous? Some would raise their hands, some wouldn't. That's that thing where some people want to be famous, some people don't. Then I would ask the second question. Who in here wants to be successful? Everybody raises their hands, right? And then I would say to them, remember this, you can be famous and not successful. And you can be successful and not famous. But if you're successful and famous, that's what you want. right? If you want to be that, cool. But there are a lot of famous people out there that aren't successful. They aren't making money. It's all smoke and glass. It's all a perception. So you want to
Right.
make sure that you're successful first, and then you can make that determination if you want to be the, you know, Taylor Swift or the Jay-Z or the, Kendrick Lamar, if that's what you want to be. And like even Kendrick Lamar, yeah, he's successful and famous, but even him, you don't really see him out there like that. You
Hmm.
know, he ain't really that guy unless he gets poked by an owl. I'll just leave it like that. Poked
You
by a
petty.
little owl
You
and
petty.
see what happens.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Petty. What was you doing when you got the phone call that shocked the world that Easy had passed?
Man, so I was with Easy, couldn't have been a week, two before, I think. Yella had a birthday party. We all went to the birthday party. It was at like a restaurant or some shit. Easy was there. Easy looked healthy to me. And I'm not going to talk about what really, really happened because I got in trouble for saying the real shit
Mm.
a while ago. You can go
Okay.
look it up because I wasn't there. And, sometimes I don't like speaking on what's there, but when you get it straight from the horse's mouth, um, I'm just gonna say somebody because he don't even like his name being mentioned, was at the studio when Easy got sick and
Okay.
ended up going to the hospital, right? And he never came out from there. Um, yeah, so I knew that night when he got sick because somebody, man, Easy sick, something's up. And from that point on, I don't really know it was a whole bunch of infighting. Like it was a whole bunch of infighting over the company because Jerry Heller was gone, the manager, he was out. He's trying to get back in now. There's other people trying to get a hold of the company. We were all gone. Everybody was gone. The only person who was left was Yella that was still kind of down with Easy's
Hmm.
camp. And Ren, I think, was even gone. I think it was just Yella at that time that was still there. Um, so it was just interesting to see like the outcome and how everything turned out. And everybody's got their opinions on what happened. I don't know, but yeah, it's crazy, dude. Just to be with somebody a couple weeks, the next thing you know, they're gone.
Hmm. Definitely. Definitely RP to Easy, man. He laid the blueprint on a lot of things and opened up a lot of doors for a lot of artists to express themselves as well as grow and make money. So definitely RP to Easy, man.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
2025. What do you have going on and what are you working on?
Man, like Cat Williams said, everything, everything. I'm working on everything. Seriously, man. Like I've got I've got my golf brand, which is hard to see, Goat Golf with 3 G's, Triple G
Okay.
Goat Golf. Um, Still doing music. I do a lot of big festivals now, like Dubai, Saudi Arabia, worldwide shit
Mm.
now, which is
Okay.
dope. The big festivals, that's where the big money is, right? I still ghostwrite, still produce, still do a bunch of stuff for a lot of groups and artists and stuff like that. But my focus mostly is technology. I'm a self-proclaimed futurist, Willy Wonka per se, man. I do everything in this spot from 3D print. I got lasers over there. I
Okay.
laser 3D print, anything you can think of for prototyping. That's the kind of stuff that I do. I've been doing this my whole life. So for me, it's building new companies, investing in new startups and stuff like that, but still doing music and DJing because I love it. I never stop doing it, but it's not as much for the money anymore because there's
Mhm.
so many other things that make so much more money for me. The music keeps me sane, keeps my sanity. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And I was born with, man, my mom says she think like Walt Disney threw up in my brain. Like I got noise in my head. If you ever talk to, and you sound like you're a musical guy too, it's you get this thing where you've got so much creativity in your head.
Hmm.
It's almost like colors. You know what I mean? Like you see things and you just got to get it out. So there's no retiring, there's no slowing down. You just got to keep pushing and creating and building new stuff. I'm gonna tell you one little quick thing. It's got to do with your shirt. So, Tales a Kid Funkadelic. That's the 15-minute song, all instrumental, right? I was
Mm-hmm.
playing it on the freeway coming in, right? When I was a kid, my uncle gave me the 8-track, and I would sit in my room because I still am funkadelic out, right?
Oh yeah.
I would meditate in my room to funkadelic, right? Turn the lights off and listen to Tales of Kid Funkadelic. All
Okay.
these, how do you view you? All them crazy, weird. Remember, hey, I know, right?
Okay.
So, listen to all that stuff. And my mom's took me to a psychiatrist, and
Really?
then thought I was crazy, right? And then I come home one day, she got everybody at the church because she was Baptist. Everybody at the church in the living room, and they gonna like hold me down and pray on me and throw like holy water on me because they thought I had a demon in me because I was listening to Funkadelic. And it was
Oh
the funniest thing,
wow.
man. And she finally just left me alone. But yeah, man, that's crazy. That's what created who I am. So
The
yeah,
fact that you said that, I do that. Like I can be sitting in a room in the dark and play that. And the songs I really well, some of the songs I really think listen to and let my mind wander is Free Your Mind, Your Ass Will Follow, and
yeah.
Maggot Brain.
Maggot Brain, yes, sir.
Or listen.
And man, I don't know if you've seen on social media. There's a little white girl, dude, like 15 years old, playing Maggot Brain, note for note.
That's good. Because
Yeah.
Eddie Hazel doesn't get the credit that he really deserves when they get to talking
No.
about guitars and lead guitars and everything. He don't get his
Yeah.
credit.
No, he doesn't. And I think there's something you got to watch if you haven't seen it, and hopefully your listeners listen to this too. George Clinton, they had this tour where they run around, and he did this thing with like an orchestra,
Mm-hmm.
and I forget the girl's name, and I play it every now and then. She plays Maggot Brain on a violin and
Interesting.
kills it. Kills
Interesting.
it. You got to look that up. It's beastly. So yeah, man. And as I was driving home, that's why I was listening to all this stuff. I'm thinking about starting a monthly club. I haven't done a club in a while. I just DJ when somebody else books me. I haven't had
Mm-hmm.
my club in a while, but I think I want to do a club, man, and do a funk club and just call it On the Motherfucking One. That's gonna be the name of the club, On the Motherfucking One,
Motherfucking
and
one.
just everything, nothing but funk once a month. And I want people to dress up, just
Okay.
come funk out, and just bring that back for a minute, man, because it's missing, you know.
Definitely. You know what? I was back home in Ohio one time. I was in Cincinnati, and it was a record store, and they were having a party, and it was free to go to. And I went, and it happened to be Bootsy's birthday. He showed up with the
Oh,
house guests. I got a chance to meet him. When I say down to earth, it's like it blows your mind because all that what you see on TV and everything. Now you see the outfit that's there. You see the glasses.
yeah,
When he get to talking, you be like, wow. But I had a
yeah,
blast. When I met Frankie Waddy, man, I was like, oh yeah, I had a good time.
yes, sir.
We definitely got a lot in common because I am a Prince buff. So I got to ask you, what is your top three Prince songs?
I'm gonna blow your mind because
Shoot,
I go deep.
shoot.
Something in the Water does not compute.
Okay, okay.
Um,
That's deep.
joy in repetition,
Repetition. Fair enough. Fair
right?
enough. Okay.
And my third one would be Lady Cab Driver. Because the reason Lady Cab Driver for me as a DJ,
Hmm.
we were doing Uncle Jam's Army, right?
Okay.
And you brought boy that in the club, that sucker would bang in the club. And I've always been like obscure. That's the only one that's not obscure for me is Lady Cab Driver. But
Facts.
those other two, most people probably don't even know about those songs. Something in the water, enjoying repetition.
At all.
Don't do. Yeah.
They fall in the category of automatic. They fall into the category of that song.
Yeah. Yes. Same thing. There you go.
You went into something in the water doesn't compute. Is it the same with every girl I've had? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You see, you know.
Oh
Yeah.
man, Prince threw a listening party for Hit and Run 1 and 2 when he was alive at Paisley Park. It was $50 per day. We went up there for 3 days, and I'm not gonna lie, I was fanned out because you seen the motorcycles, you seen the stuff from Sign on the Times, Graffiti Bridge. You walking around, he's serving vegan food, and you got to see the actual Purple Rain guitar, which is, by him being small, a lot of stuff was small. And I got this one partner, we call him the Guru, because he at that time he would get a lot of bootlegs and live shows and stuff we never heard of. So Prince is in a small room playing a little guitar, can't even get over there. He said, "Stay right here. He gonna come through that door. I promise you. Take your shot. If not, you would never get it again." He came out that door. You see the afro, he got on a white outfit, the light up wedges, and I just said, "How you doing, Prince?" And he just gave dap, said, "Enjoy yourself." I lost it, bro. I was like, oh, it's one of those I'm not gonna wash his hand again. When I got back to Ohio, I said, "Man, I seen Paisley Park. I seen the outfit." This is before they did what they did now. This is when he was alive, so it had, I don't know what it looks like now, but it had a totally different look. But it was very comfortable. It was packed, and you seen everything, all the rehearsals, all the pictures. I was like, I mean, I would never forget that. Have you ever actually met him? Do you have a Prince story?
Yeah, dude. So I've met him a few times, like later on in life. But first time I met him, I was a kid. He came to, my father had a talk radio show. Excuse me. My father had a talk radio show at KH Radio in LA.
Okay.
And I'm on there on a Sunday, and Sunday is talk radio day, right? We pull up. There's this little dude in the parking lot shooting basketball that had a hoop outside, and it was Prince. This was before I was young. I was a kid. It was, this was 77, where he put his first. It was the first Prince. This was like
For You,
Prince.
Okay.
Before it come out. So I didn't know who he was. He was out promoting For You. I'm a kid, I didn't have access to that shit. My uncle did, and I ended up eventually saw the album. I'm like, hey, that's that dude I shot a basketball with. That's what I told my uncle. You ain't shit no basketball with Prince. I'm like, dude, call my pops. Hey, would you tell him? Like, it was Prince. And then I met him later on at a festival, thing, and he had said he knew who I was because, Arabian Prince. And I was like, yeah, I got my name. Because some girl told me I should call myself Arabian Prince because I used to call myself DJ Prince because I used to dress like you. He said, I know. I follow you. I know who you are.
Okay.
Yeah, it was cool, man. I was friends with the girl who used to dance in this crew that just passed away recently, Kat. I was friends with Kat. I used to dance on stage with him all the time.
I know you're talking about. Yeah.
I'm not sure how she passed away, but she just recently passed away. So, yeah, man.
I told my old lady, I said, listen, I watch Purple Rain umpteen amount of times a year. And she's seen it on VHS, seen it on DVD. I said, it's coming to this theater one day. You gotta go. She said, what's so special? I said, just trust me. We went, and she had the best time. You had people dancing, you had people singing, you had people quoting, and she looked around like, it's that serious. It's that serious. But she had a good time. Yeah.
So I got one last Prince
story.
Oh yeah, no, I got one more Prince story. I forgot about this. We went to the screening of Purple Rain. Prince was in the back of the theater heckling the movie.
What?
And no one knew it was him until he was gone.
He was heckling himself.
He was heckling the movie. Like, what the hell is this? Like, this is bullshit. Hey, look, who that fool in that jacket? Like, like stuff like that. And it was him. Yeah.
Man, I seen it at the drive-in. My uncles and them took me, and we on the car with the blanket, people honking the horn. It's full-blown party. Never will forget it. Love it for life. Um,
I think, and I'll give you one more. So speaking of Prince,
what's up?
before we move on, if people haven't seen, there's because people don't know Prince was funny. Like he wrote all that funny shit for Morris Day. That was Prince. That's his natural
Mhm.
character. I know you've seen him on other things. He's funny as hell, right? If you ever want to see funny ass Prince, you gotta watch Under the Cherry Moon with him and Jerome. The people who
Christopher
haven't seen
Tracy.
Dude, if you haven't seen Under the Cherry Moon, I don't care how like bad the movie is, B movie, whatever, it's funny as hell. And
Man,
then the one scene in Graffiti Bridge when Morris and Jerome kidnapped the girl and brought her in the bedroom. I don't know if you've seen it. And brought her
yeah,
in the living room and he turned off the lights and Prince stole her and they kissed each other. Morris and
yeah,
Jerome kissed each other. That's the funniest thing I ever seen in my life. I'm like, yeah, you got to check that out. It's
yeah.
hilarious.
Same with Cherry Moon. Went to the drive-in. I never thought it was a B movie. I always loved it because it had a story. It was
Yes.
funny, and you got to see Prince out of the mysterious side. And I think that's what people wasn't ready for. His silly side. They was like, "Oh, okay, he's funny, but what about the mysterious guy? What about the kid?
Yeah.
The kid." They
Yeah.
was focused on the kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely. Um, are you doing any brand ambassador thing? Like, are you doing your own liquor, own food, or merch or anything in that type of sense?
Like I tell you, just the golf brand, Go Golf. I actually own a streaming gaming computer company called Goat as well with 3 Gs, just Goat PC.
Okay.
A lot of the top streamers, DJs like Questlove, Z Trip, Jazzy Jeff, even man, Little John, all these cats are using my computer to stream with on Twitch or whatever, however they stream. So those are my companies that I own personally. Um, people have been trying to get me to do like liquor and stuff like that. I don't really drink like that no more. So it's kind of like, why do liquor if I really don't drink? But then
Right.
again, I heard what Shaq said a long time ago. Shaq said, somebody asked Shaq what his biggest regret was. He said, and I'm gonna do my best Shaq voice. Yeah, man, they came up, some people from Starbucks came to me and asked me to invest in Starbucks. And I told them I don't drink coffee. Imagine if he had invested in Starbucks before they were Starbucks.
That man, he invests. His hand is in so much you don't know.
Yeah.
And I wear Invicta watches.
Oh yeah.
He's into Invicta, pizza.
Yeah.
I mean, Papa John's. This
Yeah.
that. I was like, man,
And it's
this cat,
because of
damn.
the Starbucks thing. He missed out on Starbucks and he said, never again. If I got enough money, I'm gonna do it because you never know. You know. Yes, sir.
Definitely. Let the people know where they can find you. If they want to contact you for anything, or if they just want to keep in touch with you. Tell them, give out your social media and everything.
Just OG Arabian Prince, just as you see, all one word. That's me, OG Arabian Prince. I answer all my messages, just like I didn't know you before this, right?
Fact,
May
kind of
take me a
perfect.
minute to find it, to go through it. I'm not really a heavy social media dude.
Mhm,
I'm a serial reposter. Like other people post stuff. Oh shit, I'm in
mhm.
there. Oh, I'll repost it. But I'll do look at my messages and I will answer them.
Yeah,
And
because I ain't gonna lie, I thought it was a secretary or somebody or a handler. I'm like, okay, that's probably the handler. Then I'm like,
nah,
oh,
man.
might be
Nah,
them.
I do what I do, man. And I always try to, help up and comers. You got an amazing show. And whatever
Appreciate
I
it.
can do to help you get more people on the show, let me know. I got you. We
Okay.
gotta just like I said, we gotta just keep it going forward, man. Pass it forward, pass it forward, pass it forward. You know.
Um, Let me know what size you wear, and I'm a def. And where can I send a package to? I'm gonna send you some merch I got, and I'm an ambassador for a black-owned soda company called Carolina Beverage. I'm gonna send you a couple of bottles of the flavors and everything, man.
Okay. I appreciate it. Yeah, I will. I'll
Man,
send that
no
later on.
problem, bro.
I appreciate you for sure.
I mean, I appreciate you taking the time. I mean, definitely, man. More than you know. You're welcome back anytime. We do a thing. I do a thing called a roundtable where I get my manager and maybe 3 or 4 people. We have fun as well as try to discuss some topics. Man, if you ever want to come on, you're more than welcome. And man, I mean,
Oh,
I like to have conversation, bro. It's what rule the nation, and it's like a lost art nowadays.
Yes, sir. Well, if I'm in town, I'm down. So just keep me posted.
One quick question before I leave.
Mhm.
Do you think in 2025 R&B and rap is in a state of emergency or like lost its identity?
So glad you asked that question, sir. I have a interesting take on music, right? Um, I wouldn't say I'm a music historian, but kind of, I'll just put it this way. I would say no. I
Mm,
understand what's happening.
okay.
If we go back to the beginning of popular music, where it's being documented on television and radio,
Okay.
and you look at the, I'll call it the chatter, right? Chubby Checker, Little Richard,
Mm,
um, Fats Domino, the early, the Big Bopper, all those early in the 50s and 60s guys.
mm-hmm.
Parents were calling that devil worship music,
Facts.
right?
Right.
Right. Let's move to the 60s. Beatles, Rolling Stones, all that devil worship music. But the generation that loved it, that's their music, right? Then we get to
Hmm.
the 70s, the 80s, we get to N.W.A's and then Dre's and the 50 Cents. Every generation has their music and their sound. The reason I think that R&B and hip hop and even pop and all this music has changed, it's social media. Everything has been truncated to its smallest denominator. Like the way we communicate now, like I'm even guilty, way guilty now when I write messages or even when I'm writing an official letter to somebody, I have to catch myself because I'm abbreviating everything.
Mm.
TYs and like it's crazy. So
Right. Right.
songs that used to be, like I said, we Parliament Funkadelic heads. Parliament Funkadelic, Zap, them songs were 15 minutes long. Now songs
Hmm.
is 2 minutes long. 2 minutes, it took me that long to get the intro in on my records. You know what I mean? So it's because the attention span is so short on everything, right? But the generation, that's their music. It's their music. So I understand it. I
Okay.
like some of it, not all of it. I'm not the old rapper like, man, all this old and new stuff. Nah, I understand it because the same thing happened when we came up. People wasn't understanding what we was putting down. So
Right.
whether or not some of this music is going to rise to the level of rock and roll Hall of Fameness or, you know, everlasting songs, I don't know. I think consumption is such now that songs don't have a long enough shelf life to get to that, status anymore. And that's a
Right.
shame. And 90% of the new music is just rehashed old music. And it's not even rehashed from the original. They're rehashing from they're sampling the sample that was sampled
From the rehash.
from the
Hmm.
rehash. So that what really kills me. Because when I heard somebody rapping over Too Short, I was like, what? What? They sampled Too Short? I'm like,
Hmm.
wow, we running out of stuff.
You made an interesting point. One thing I noticed is missing is the intro, is skits, is the
Yeah.
outro. That's gone.
No, it's just and it's everything is the same. It's just a loop now. It's and ain't nothing wrong with it. It's just a groove, but it's just the creativity. And I'm not mad. Get your hustle on. Like if you only got to do 2 minutes to make money, by means, go make two minute songs and make money. I wish I could have
Right.
made a 2 minute song. Like I don't think I own a song. Any one of my songs, they ain't none of my songs under 5 minutes because they had to be long. You had to, it was
Yeah,
what
it's
it
about
was.
dancing, partying.
It was about partying. And even when I DJ now, the DJs now, a lot of the younger DJs, and no disrespect to them, songs are quick, man. I was headlining a party not too long ago. Man, the DJ before me played every song on planet Earth, dude. He played my whole hard drive in 45 minutes. I was like, because he was just going from song to song to song, like nobody had a chance to groove. And I had to like show him, I'm like, dude, people like songs. Certain songs, if you see somebody go, hey, you got to give it to them for a minute. Let them vibe on it for a minute, you know? Yeah.
Facts. Have you ever had an opportunity to any of your memorabilia or things that you use in that N.W.A era to go into a museum or to be on display anywhere?
They asked, what's the big one? The biggie,
Rock and Roll Hall of Museum?
No. I mean the one for sale. That they said, you know, the big auction.
I can't think of the name of it.
Yeah, but anyway, one of the big ones, right? They did something a few years ago, and a lot of people sold stuff. Like even Lonzo had old Record Crew stuff, like Dre's old jacket and stuff like that. That stuff went for money. And I've got stuff, and I was like, ain't time yet. It ain't time yet. Like, let me hold on to this because I was thinking like everybody gonna shoot their shot, and then nobody ain't holding on to nothing. So those who holding on, you know, because I've got original N.W.A mixers, like mixers that we used on stage, and the original SB 1200 disc. You know what I mean? And the old MPC disc, like that we used on a lot of the stuff, original sounds and things like that. So yeah. Matter of fact, I just talked to Roland. I might be doing some sound patches, me and Egyptian Lover, some sound patches for the Rolling Cloud coming up. So I might do a whole Compton sound patch, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got any other gold records and the platinum records or anything, or you was like already gone and it was whatever?
They all over. Matter of fact, I wish you could see this. Let me see if I can swing this around. Hold on here. Swing that right there. That one. I can't zoom in on. Oh, let me get back over there. I got the camera that follows me, and that's a lean. Go up. There we go. Follow me, camera. Yeah, this one, the Ruthless 10th anniversary, with everybody, all the records from Ruthless Records on there. Yeah, all around the outside, and then underneath is JJ Fast Supersonic Black for #1 hot dance music, and then I got stuff all through the house. So yeah,
you might as well go ahead and put one of them in a box and send me one. I'm gonna put that right on the wall. So serious, bro.
Yes, sir.
It'll be right in the background, man. I definitely appreciate your time, my brother. I do.
Anytime, man. Anytime. Appreciate you having me on so I can let an old man speak.
That's that wisdom, man. It's our wisdom.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, all my listeners and all the watchers and the future people who catch this episode, y'all definitely check my man out. OG Arabian Prince. Good music. He got a lot to say. He's done a lot. I appreciate him coming on. Like I said, you're welcome back anytime, man. Definitely stay in contact. Man, just let me know. Come on back anytime, my brother.
Sexy chocolate.
Boy, you silly. Yeah, we definitely got to get you back on, bro. We definitely got to do a part 2. We'll be on another 2-3 hours playing around.
Yes, sir.
I got you. I'll be in contact.
Appreciate you. Peace.
Yes, sir. Oh, man. Good episode. That's how you build relationships, pause, and friendship. Things in that manner. Just sitting there having a conversation. So it's really not even an interview. We just sitting here shooting the shit. Now, definitely follow OG Arabian Prince. Check him out. And y'all heard it right here. Founding member of N.W.A. Why he left. Y'all heard the stories right there from the horse's mouth. He did the video games. So the video games we've been playing for a long time, he probably did some mixes or some music on there. Nobody knew. Now you know. Oh, man. Definitely follow me. Facebook and IG, Rain Rockstar. Twitter, Rain_4977. And definitely on the YouTube, Rain Spotlight 4977. Man, let's get them views up. Let's get the subscriptions up. Hit the like button, share, let your people know. Hit me on Twitter too, Rockstar Regime. Man, like I said, man, rest in peace to Eazy-E. Shout out to Dre, Yella, Ice Cube, Ren, everybody, Lil E. And man, we got all kind of things in the work. Like I said, Imperial Radio will be coming to indie radio soon. Y'all get ready. I'm gonna have a whole hour. I'm gonna do conversations as well as play music. You know, your favorite song to your weirdest song to the independent artist. I'm gonna have people on there. I'm gonna have guests on there, and it will be sponsored by Carolina Made Beverage, which is this. Y'all definitely get y'all a bottle if y'all interested. Hit Carolina Made Bev.biz or go on IG at Carolina Made Beverage. Tell them Rain Rockstar sent you. And of course, we got Rockin' Vodka, rockinvodka.com. Y'all get some of that, man. Shout out to Honeybee Cigars. Y'all hit up Liquid Heaven 420.com to get y'all some of that Liquid Heaven THC liquid. Man, I got my hands in everything, man. We going to the top. And the radio station, it will be called Imperial Radio. And hey, I am Rain Rockstar, Mr. What He Go Do Next, Funky Fresh in the Flesh. I am somebody you need to know. Follow me, hit me up. To all my listeners and watchers, man, salute y'all for supporting. I gotta go, and I am out.